Boom, what a week in combat sports. Ronda Rousey is stirring the pot, questioning the UFC's direction and sparking a firestorm of debate. We're diving deep into what Matt Brown is saying about Rowdy's intentions and if this is all about attention or actual change. You do not want to miss this breakdown. And the bombshells keep dropping. Nate Diaz has officially left the UFC behind and booked a massive fight against Mike Perry. This welterweight clash is heading to Netflix, and it means Diaz is turning his back on a potential UFC return. We've got all the details on this blockbuster move. But wait, there's more. Alistair Overeem is sounding the alarm, lamenting what he calls a decline in the UFC's heavyweight division. Is the era of colorful heavyweights over? Overeem weighs in on the state of the division and whether it can bounce back. We're getting into the nitty-gritty. And rounding out this insane news cycle, Kevin Vallejos has crashed the featherweight top 10 in the latest UFC rankings update, pushing out a big name. We're breaking down the shakeups and what it means for the division. Stick around for all the details and hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you never miss an update.
Looking for a fast-charging, ultra-responsive stylus for your iPad? Meet the 2X Fast Charge Active Stylus Pen, designed for 2018 to 2025 Apple iPads. Take your creativity and productivity to the next level. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Ronda Rousey's intentions are being questioned by UFC veteran Matt Brown after her recent controversial comments about the promotion. Matt Brown didn't pull any punches when discussing Ronda Rousey's recent criticisms of the UFC, directly questioning her motives and suggesting her remarks are more about seeking attention than driving meaningful change. Rousey ignited a firestorm within the MMA community by criticizing the UFC's Freedom 250 fight card and sending a pointed message to UFC matchmaker Hunter Campbell. Her frustration reportedly stems from the promotion's recent broadcast rights deal with Paramount. Meanwhile, Rousey, a former women's bantamweight champion, is slated to face Gina Carano on May 16th under the Most Valuable Promotions banner, a fight initially pitched to Dana White but ultimately pursued elsewhere. This bout is set to stream live on Netflix, presenting a significant platform for MVP's ventures and potentially positioning Netflix as a major competitor to the UFC. Brown, while acknowledging some merit in Rousey's points, remains skeptical about her true goals, recalling her mindset during her active fighting career. He believes that if the UFC had offered her a favorable deal for the Carano fight, she likely wouldn't be voicing these criticisms, suggesting her current stance is more personal than principled. However, Brown also expressed hope that Rousey's outspokenness could lead to positive changes in MMA, provided she follows through on her words. Fans are buzzing about whether Rousey's critique is genuine or a strategic move. What does this mean for her upcoming Netflix fight and the future of fighter advocacy? Will this shakeup actually lead to change, or is it just noise? Stay tuned as we unpack the full story. Don't go anywhere, because the fight world just got even crazier with news that will shock you. Nate Diaz officially leaves the UFC to book a high-profile fight against Mike Perry on Netflix. Nate Diaz is making waves, officially parting ways with the UFC to sign a deal with Most Valuable Promotions for a fight against Mike Perry on May 16th in Los Angeles. This welterweight clash, set for 5 rounds and streaming live on Netflix, signals a definitive move away from any immediate UFC return. Diaz's last UFC appearance was in September 2022 against Tony Ferguson, followed by 2 boxing matches against Jake Paul and Jorge Masvidal. This signing effectively shuts down rumors of a potential trilogy bout against Conor McGregor at the UFC White House event on June 14th. Mike Perry, known for his aggressive style, boasts a 6-0 record in the bare-knuckle fighting championship, earning him the moniker King of Violence. The upcoming bout promises an explosive display with fewer restrictions on striking and grappling, as both fighters return to MMA after significant layoffs, Diaz after nearly 4 years and Perry after 5. The event is further stacked with Francis Ngannou also competing against Philippe Lins on the same card, marking MVP's historic triple headliner. This event is already being hailed by some fans as more action-packed than the recently announced UFC Freedom 250 card. fans are already debating if this MVP card will outshine the UFC's offerings. Could this Netflix-backed event signal a new era for MMA promotions? We've got the inside scoop. But the drama doesn't stop there. A legendary heavyweight is weighing in on a division that's losing its luster. Alistair Overeem believes the UFC heavyweight division is in decline, comparing it to past slumps in kickboxing. Alistair Overeem has voiced agreement with sentiments that the UFC's heavyweight division is currently experiencing a downturn, while acknowledging fighters like Tom Aspinall at the top, who is recovering from surgery, and the upcoming interim title fight between Alex Pereira and Cyril Gane at UFC Freedom 250, Overeem feels the division lacks the depth and star power it once had. In an interview with Bloody Elbow, he stated, "There is a decline, unfortunately, even though the top guys will remain the top guys. It's not as colorful as it once used to be. There used to be 15-20 top-name heavyweights, which is now not the case. They've kind of slowly declined, unfortunately." Overeem drew parallels to a similar period of decline in K1 kickboxing, noting that boxing eventually saw a revival and expressed optimism that MMA could experience the same. He described these fluctuations as the tides of life. The recent release of Jailton Almeida, once considered a rising contender, and his uneventful performances against Alexander Volkov and Rizvan Kunev further fuel the discussion. The article also questions whether Alex Pereira's potential highlight reel knockouts could provide the much-needed spark for the division. Is this the end of an era for exciting heavyweight clashes in the UFC? Can Pereira reignite the division's glory days? We're breaking down the concerns and the potential saviors. And speaking of shake-ups, the official UFC rankings have seen a major newcomer making a huge splash. Kevin Vallejos makes a significant jump into the UFC featherweight top 10, displacing Brian Ortega in the latest rankings update. In a notable shift within the UFC's featherweight division, Kevin Vallejos has officially entered the top 10 rankings at 145 pounds following his dominant performance against veteran Josh Emmett at UFC Vegas 114. Vallejos now occupies the number 10 spot, pushing former title contender Brian Ortega down the ladder. Emmett himself has dropped 4 places to number 15. The rankings update also saw Jillian Robertson climb into the strawweight top 5 after her victory over Amanda Lemos. These rankings are determined by a panel of media members who vote on active UFC fighters across various weight classes and pound for pound. Champions and interim champions are excluded from weight class voting, but can be considered for pound rankings. The featherweight division, in particular, is expected to see further changes following upcoming events, including UFC London, Evlo vs. Murphy, on March 21, 2026. The article also provides a comprehensive list of the current top 15 rankings for multiple UFC divisions. Will Kevin Vallejos continue his climb, or will Brian Ortega fight his way back into the top echelon? What does this mean for the featherweight title picture? We've got the rankings breakdown. That's all the fight news for today, but stick around for a lightning round recap of all the biggest stories. And that's a wrap on another massive week in combat sports. We saw Matt Brown question Ronda Rousey's motives, Nate Diaz make a huge move to Netflix with Most Valuable Promotions, Alistair Overeem lament the state of the UFC heavyweight division, and Kevin Vallejos crash the featherweight top 10. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, drop a comment below with your thoughts, and follow us on all social media platforms for even more fight news. We'll see you next time.